savage seas are filled with fortune and unknown dangers, which most men wouldn't dare face. But we are not most men. Incoming fire!
Well, it's November.
Yep.
Must be time to play Assassin's Creed again, Jason.
Of course it is.
It's kind of becoming like a yearly thing. Like you've got Halloween, and then you've got Assassin's Creed, and then you've got Thanksgiving, and then Christmas time.
Don't forget the other perennial releases.
Oh, like Call of Duty and Battlefield.
Yep, and Batman now.
Batman hasn't been out for a few years, but like this year feels very much like last year.
It does.
When it's like first Assassin's Creed, then Battlefield, then Call of Duty.
Yes.
So I'm really looking forward to the new consoles because I'm like, just something besides
the endless cycle.
Because right now I feel like I'm Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. Like until I beat Assassin's Creed the right way, we're never going to get to continue on to the rest of the season. Welcome everybody to Rage Select. We are reviewing Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, and
is it really 4?
No,
it's like 8.
It depends on. Okay, do you count mobile games?
No.
Okay, 1, 2,
nobody
3,
does that.
4, 5, 6.
6.
Because there were 3 2s, 1 1, and 1 3.
Yes.
And then there was Liberation, and there was the other dumb one. But yeah, this is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which, if you ask me, I'm pretty goddamn sure that this was supposed to be Assassin's Creed 3 Brotherhood.
Yeah.
But then everybody was like, fuck Connor. I hate Connor.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, shit, we better do something.
Everybody liked the
Connor.
boat stuff.
Yeah.
Let's do more boat stuff.
Yeah. Every review I read of Assassin's Creed 3, it was like, yeah, the game kind of blows. The boat stuff was really cool, though. So Ubisoft said, yo ho ho, bitches, and like, it's time for the golden age of piracy.
That should have been their commercial.
Yo ho ho, bitches. So Assassin's Creed 4, I'm going to cut to the chase for people who want the 5-second review.
Yep.
Yo, this is another Assassin's Creed game.
Okay, there you go.
If you're tired of Assassin's Creed games, probably don't buy this one. If you're not, probably do buy. But for those of you who want a little bit more than that, this game follows the tale of Edward Kenway,
grandfather
of Haytham Kenway, which I guess some people might consider a spoiler, but they got the same fucking last name.
Yeah.
So, which as we all know, or most of us, I mean not all of us, but some of us, might be a little bit more vague there. Haytham, in my mind,
was the interesting guy.
Best part of Assassin's Creed 3.
Yes.
I totally buy a Dead Rising 2 off the record where it's Assassin's Creed 3, but just totally played from Haytham's point of view.
I'm in favor of such a mashup.
Because that dude was like James Bond, Colonial James Bond.
Oh, yeah.
He was fucking smooth as hell.
Yeah, and a prick.
Uh-huh. Yep. Kind of the Sterling Archer of his time. But so Edward Kenway comes to the New World as a privateer to make some money because he's tired of being poor. And
understandable.
Yeah. And he ends up in the weirdest setup humanly possible. So this is the first 5 minutes of the game, you guys. Skip forward if you don't want any spoilers, but the first 5 minutes of the game. He's on a ship. Their ship gets attacked by this assassin. They both wash up on this isle where apparently nobody else survived. And the assassin is real jittery. Like, dude doesn't trust anybody. He asks Edward for help, and then he tries to shoot him or something, and then he runs away. And so Edward follows him. He's like, no, I'll help you, dude. And then he murders him.
Yes.
Takes his clothes, dresses up like an assassin.
In the Rage Select fashion.
That's like you do. And he goes to... this assassin is apparently on his way to hang out with some Templars for nefarious blah, 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 blah. So he goes to do that, and thus he is embroiled in this the regular old
the age-old battle of souls and swords. No, that's something else, but whatever.
Of Templars and assassins, and he's just there. He's kind of a Clint Eastwood playing both sides.
Yeah, got a little Yojimbo going on.
Yeah. There's some things in the story that I'm not super fond of when it comes to the way that they treat him in that fashion. But basically what you've got here is you've got an Assassin's Creed game where they're not really holding up either side, either the Assassins or the Templars, as like the good guys.
Yeah.
Because Edward
they don't even know anymore.
Well, there's that. Yeah, but Edward is very much just like, dude, fuck these guys. I'm going to get all their money and then me and Blackbeard and Calico Jack and Ann Bonny are going to fucking get drunk in between.
Yeah, I know you guys have some sort of cause and battle going on, but make money, 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 make money, money. That's his whole
pretty
raison
much
d'etre.
Pretty much. But you know what? So I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here. This character, Edward Kenway,
yes,
way better than Connor. Like, he doesn't get his ideology slapped around every 5 minutes or whatever.
Right.
He doesn't come off like an idiot or an impulsive kid or whatever. But he's still kind of a prick.
Yes.
Because in the background, they show that he, like, left his wife.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want him to go. She's like, stay here. And he's like, bitch.
But I get to be a pirate.
Bitch, please. I'm going to America. And so... maybe it's just me, and maybe it's my own kind of personal bias to, like, when you start off by telling me that at the very beginning, throughout the entire game when you see him with his pirate chums getting drunk in the bar, and I'm just like, you're a piece of shit, man. Or like every time that I knocked over a ship and got a bunch of loot and then spent it on upgrades for my boat, I was like, I was supposed to be sending this home to my estranged wife.
Oh, my wife needs money to feed our kid who's on the way, but I want to put some sweet rims on the jackdaw.
That's right. I need to put some spinners.
Yeah.
Some ground effects.
Yeah.
Oh, God, there's some DLC for you, Ubisoft. Totally royalty free. So he's a better character than Connor. I don't think he's as good a character as Haytham because he still has that. First of all, some of the stuff he does early on in the game kind of fucks some people over. And second of all, call me naive or old-fashioned, but I had a hard time ever really connecting with him because of this circumstance early on. Because he's talking,
want the assassin with the heart of gold.
Well, he's talking to his wife early on, and he's like, I'm tired of living poor. I'm going to go to America. And she's like, no, we're together, and that's all I care about. Please don't go. And then they cut a little bit later, and they show him, like, he's coming in, and he's fucking drunk. He's hammered.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to America. And she's like, I don't like what you've become. And so, you know, I don't want to say that Ezio is, like, the only character in Assassin's Creed that I like, because I like Haytham. Haytham's a fucking pimp. But both of those characters had the ability to do what they were doing without being shackled down by this weird kind of tragic backstory.
Sure.
Connor and Edward and even Altair to some extent kind of have these shackles that keep them from being, you know, Assassin's Creed, the last Assassin's Creed 2 game, fucking Ezio is like 70 and he's still like romancing some 25-year-old woman.
He was like Hefner, Renaissance era Hugh.
Which, you know, part of playing video games and part of attaching to a character for us, or for me at least, is really liking them. You know, Nathan Drake may do shitty things, but he's just such a fucking likable guy that it's hard to hate him. Here, this guy is better, but still not super great. The story kind of does what you would expect it to do in an Assassin's Creed series, where it weaves throughout different, you know, it's people making those fucking Christopher Nolan long-winded speeches about what it means to be free, and even the pirates are like, fuck them, I'm Blackbeard, but you got to scare him, and I'm not really that bad of a guy. I'm really kind of a nice dude. And it's like, oh, God damn it. Just be fucking pirates already.
Yeah. We're pirates. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Stop with the philosophy.
Yeah.
Let's go raid and pillage.
Exactly. And you know what? They totally let you do that.
Yeah.
You get to raid and plunder. Now, I think that when I originally thought about this game, I thought that it was going to be a little bit more like Sid Meier's Pirates or the old Pirates of the Caribbean game. It's much more of a directed experience.
Okay.
Like, there are forts that control certain areas of the sea map that you have to sail to, and you have to blow up the fort, and you have to go in, and you have to attack the leader and assassinate him, and then you get control of this one section of the water, and everything opens up on the map. And you do that like 12 times for these different forts, and then you've got the map opened up. It's very much repetitive, like an Assassin's Creed game is repetitive. You go to an island, you go up to the top thing, you synchronize, and it shows you where all the chests are. You go get all the chests, you get all the animus fragments, you get all these different things, and then that island is pretty much tapped out.
Right.
And you got a fast travel point and all this stuff. So if part of, I mean, you know, some people get real turned off with just mountains of side shit to do.
Right.
And this game definitely has that. And I'll say is kind of a strike against the game that not a lot of it has anything really super interesting to do with the storyline. Like, there's one subset of quests that you do with these assassins that opens up some armor that kind of factors into the plot line and brings people in there, and that's cool. But for the most part, a lot of just the shit on your map is just opening up chests and stuff. And I have a hard time because that's the same way it was in all the previous Assassin's Creed games. But I guess I'm kind of starting to get tired of it. You know, it's been 6 games, and I was kind of hoping that they would have a little bit more of that simulation aspect. But I don't want to bang on the game for not being what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
because that's not really fair. It's just that it's very much like, instead of having, in Assassin's Creed 3 you had the world, and then you had cities, and then you had the boat segments. And here it's like you've got 3 or 4 major cities: Nassau, Havana, and I don't know, whatever, Georgia. I don't know what it is. Cincinnati, yeah. And you sail in between them on your boat, and you go up to these islands, and there's ruins, and they've got chests in them, and there's people there. But for the most part, that side stuff is just, like, maybe what I'm trying to say is that none of it really affects the larger world. Like, you could ignore it and just mainline the plot, and you'd probably be fine.
Yeah.
And that mainline plot
it's all just kind of like salad dressing.
Right. It's stuff to do, and it gives you a chance to kind of role play your own experience, but none of it is crucial to the story. And I think I'm just getting to the point where I'm starting to get a little bit tired of it. It's just kind of doing the same thing. But the stuff where you're on the high seas, that's kind of the new thing in the series. Is, you can just come upon boats, you can look at them with your spyglass, and you can see what they've got. They got rum or money or whatever, and you can attack them. You whittle them down, and then you swing over and you have a sword fight, and there's these sub-objectives that you can do, and then you get the boat, and you can decide what to do with it. Once again, though, that's awesome, like the first 6 times that you do it. And don't get me wrong, sailing on the high seas, there's like whales and fucking shit like that. You got pirate shanties that your crew is singing, and that's awesome. But after
I imagine they sound like the Dropkick Murphys.
You would probably want to pipe in your own soundtrack on the Xbox if that's what you think they sound like.
Maybe not.
But after a while, it just kind of becomes business as usual. Like when I started doing that, but when I realized that the money that you get from ships is less than the money that you get from just opening up a bunch of chests, and that action becomes very repetitive, and that they don't really offer you a lot of change.
Yeah.
It's just this boat has more health, and it has more sub-objectives when it comes time to swing over and get in there.
Right.
That after a while, I just started avoiding naval combat because it was just all the same thing. And you can upgrade the Jackdaw, but you can never, like, trade the Jackdaw in for a bigger boat or really get to a point where the Jackdaw is, like, it gets really powerful, but there's always these, like, super ships that are out there, these hunter ships, and there's a wanted meter that you have where after you've killed a certain number of ships, and they start sending these mercenary ships after you that are pretty powerful, to the point where it kind of became more trouble than it was worth to just continually do that. And there wasn't a lot of super benefit to the story or to even the action because you're just sailing between different places. So
it's like, hey, you wanted ship stuff, here you go.
Yeah, and I think that it's interesting that in Assassin's Creed 3, that stuff worked really well because it was all very self-contained. It was like these small vignette missions where they could really control the environment. Whereas here, you've got to deal with the open-world sloppiness of just seeing a boat out there. And, sometimes you'll be in the middle of a storm and a ship will get hit by something and you can use the storm to your advantage. But those things are good like once or twice. They don't work all the time. On the flip side, I want to go back to the story. All the stuff with the pirates is actually really cool. Like Blackbeard, Nambani, and Calico Jack and stuff like that. And they do vary up the story missions so that you have quite a bit of stuff in there that is, it's not just dealing with the Assassins and the Templars. There's a lot of stuff that's dealing with how are the pirates mutating as the world changes around them, and can you be a pirate forever, and that kind of stuff, which is cool and it's well done. There's one mission in particular where you get kind of Treasure Island shipwrecked with somebody that's interesting. Really a really cool mission that uses the whole, the isolation in the middle of this whole thing to its advantage really, really well. By the end of the game, it started to be much more hooked into the whole Assassins and Templar thing, and that was kind of where it started to lose me a little bit.
Right.
Like I feel
like, oh yeah, this shit.
Yeah. Like, I felt like they had they even used part of the story as an opportunity to introduce a kind of a new faction into that mythos. I guess it's a faction that's already been there, but they focus on it a little bit more.
The Girl Scouts.
The Girl Scouts.
Yep.
Yep.
I knew it.
Yep.
I knew it.
Bears. Mostly bears.
Bears.
But I felt like they had an opportunity to even have another set of people. Like, the way that I envisioned in my mind, and once again, I don't want to take anything off of this game for not doing what I imagined, but like you remember in the Timothy Zahn Star Wars novels.
Yes, I do.
How you had the Empire and the Rebellion,
Yep.
and then suddenly they brought in the crime, the smugglers, as like a third element. And I thought that if they could have spun this pirate stuff into a faction that was equally as powerful as either the Assassins or Templars, because when you consider it, they're both small organizations
Right.
with specialties, right? But then you had them be more focused on, like, fuck you guys, you take this shit way too seriously. We're just fucking, we're out there getting money
Yeah.
and bitches and fucking rum and shit.
That's their credo. Money, bitches, and rum.
And shit.
And shit.
Money, bitches, rum, and shit. That they had an opportunity to do something there that where they towards the end they kind of just fell back a lot on a lot of the tropes from the previous Assassin's Creed games, which I feel like most people, I mean, I don't know, some people tend to really like that stuff, but I feel like most of the people that I talk to are starting to get a little bit like, this is not the part that I'm interested in. Now, speaking to that, they have done one thing that I think that we can all give Ubisoft a round of applause for. No Desmond.
No Desmond.
Yay! No more Desmond.
Thank God.
Instead, you play as a nameless, faceless person working for Abstergo Entertainment, because apparently after their highfalutin like plans to dominate the world, they decided to just make the Oculus Rift instead.
Right. This world domination thing it's all right, but video games, that's where it's at.
That's where the real money is at.
Yes, clearly.
And there, the game is framed as you as this employee delving into these stored genetic memories, trying to come up with this pirate story that they can then edit together and make the new Pirates of the Caribbean Oculus Rift thing or whatever it is. And those sequences are they're okay, but they felt like, I don't know, they felt really weirdly crowbarred in because all of the story about this stuff is hidden in text logs.
Yeah.
And this is a place where me and some people are just going to have to disagree. But when I play a video game, especially something like this with fucking high-flying, pirates in the Caribbean, the last thing I want to do is read a 4-page text log about something. You give me an audio log, work it into the story somehow. But if you really want to flesh that stuff out, I don't like it when games put that stuff, they hide it behind these big, long text things I'm expected to stop and read. I didn't read the Codex in Mass Effect. I didn't read, the stuff in other games.
You want me to read this? Publish an Assassin's Creed book. Then maybe.
Or, you know what? We're at a point in video games where it's not that hard to say, work it into the story.
Yeah.
If this is critical color for the story, work it into the story, or let me listen to it while I'm doing something else. Like, there's a bunch of collectibles in the game where Edward picks up these notes in a bottle, right? I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't read any of them. And if they had just said, like, if he had looked at it, and then they had started a kind of, like, Amadeus Arkham, like, well, when I first came to the new world, I was a fresh-faced young man. While I was jumping up and doing this other busy work, it would have been a perfect way to integrate those two together. But the last thing I wanted to do in this game was stop and read this big thing.
Yeah.
So
most of the stuff, whenever I pick something up in a video game and there are a lot of words on it, I usually skip. Okay, did this affect my objectives at all? Was there anything in there that changed? No? Okay, fine. Then I never need to see that again.
You've got a bad case of World of Warcraft syndrome. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Just, how many pelts do you need?
Exactly.
So there's that stuff, and some of that actually factors into the story in a very interesting way. There's one really weird thing I told you about before where apparently Abstergo is Ubisoft.
There's not the best comparison. Ubisoft.
Well, I don't know. Abstergo, I've never seen them do anything super heinous in the games outside of just chase Desmond around.
They make you sign up for Uplay.
That's
right.
Damn you, Abstergo!
They push out this game before it's done.
Yeah.
There are lots of patches. Buggy.
Oh, are you doing the social commentary and a review thing?
Yes.
So here's another thing that I really, 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 really didn't like about this game. They took out your assassin minions.
Yeah, your posse.
You can't, and for any game, I mean, the last game, Connor had assassin minions, and he was like lone wolf hunting, doing, like, he wasn't, building an organization, whereas fucking, like, dude, how awesome would it be if you were walking down the street and he could hit L and he goes, bah! And fucking Blackbeard jumps out of a hay bale and just starts stabbing guys.
Peg-legged, one-eyed, hook-handed bastards.
I'm saying, like, in the last game, you had named characters that were your assassins.
Yeah.
In this game, I had fucking Blackbeard and Calico Jack and Anne Bonny. Like, they were made.
And yet, you couldn't call on them at a moment's notice.
I have a crew.
Yeah.
I had a crew. I had a fucking first mate who called me Ishmael, or I called him. I don't know what that is. I don't remember. But, like,
it's Moby Dick.
You could have taken. I've never read it. You could have taken any of those guys and you could have made them into generic assassins. Also, they hid the send your dudes out to do stuff behind this, like, fleet management thing. It seems like it's made to be played on your iPad while you're actually playing the game.
It's like Fantasy Pirate League.
You have to stop and you have to assign them, and it's really not. I mean, in the previous games. Okay, here's the thing. In the previous games, when you sent your assassins out on those missions, the assassins would come back with some money, but the real reason you wanted to do that is because you were able to level
them up, yeah.
the assassins, so that when they came back, they were even more powerful, so you had a more powerful resource to call on. Well, without that, without being able to call on these ships to really do anything, because it's not like you can even hit a button when you're in naval combat and have the ships, your fleet, come and help you. It was kind of just a money thing. It became worthless. And so I did it a little bit, and then I stopped, and it was just like, so in some places here, I feel like they've done some missteps. They have the upgrade system, and I can't remember if it was in the third one. It's kind of like Far Cry, where you skin a badger, and you make a new pistol belt out of the badger or whatever.
iPhone case or something.
Right. And that stuff was okay. It was kind of actually horrifying because some of the stuff requires, like, you to go whaling. Mm-hmm. And when you kill the whale, they'll, like, lift up with a winch this giant bloody whale carcass. It's just blood is just flowing off of it. And I'm like, they're the gentle giants of the deep.
No.
Like, I'm a child of the 90s. We were taught Free Willy, and Star Trek 4 taught me that the whales are cool, man.
Not the Kenways.
Nope. Like, I don't mind fucking up sharks, obviously. I love fucking up the sharks.
Yeah.
But whales, come on, man. That's Shamu that's covered in blood. So you've got all of that, and then you've also got the multiplayer, which is... All right. So you're making a video game, right? You know the answer to this question already. We talked to you about this before. You're making a video game based on pirates.
Yes.
So you sail around a ship, and you fuck up other ships, and it's got a multiplayer component. What would you put in that multiplayer component?
Walking around secretly stabbing people in markets.
Yeah, you're correct. That's what happened. But I was just like, it occurred to me when I started playing that yet again.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I could have had a ship fight with somebody. It could have been like 16 players, 8 on 8. I've got my ship.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Like, some guys bailing water and repairing, and some people are manning the cannons, and, like, you can't shoot the cannons until the dude does a little mini game. And, once again, I'm not going to take points off of this game for what it could have been.
But missed opportunity.
Seriously, guys. Like, we've done this Assassin's Creed multiplayer 4 times already.
Yeah.
3 times. 3 times?
I don't remember.
I think it's 3 times.
Multiple times. Well, why not pirate ships?
Why not pirate ships? But no, they've got the same multiplayer where you walk around, covertly stab people. They've got a new mode where it's co-op, where you and 3 other people do these assassin missions over time, and they you've got a time limit that counts down, so you have to complete your objectives quickly in order to get on to the next one. I did one of them, and I was like level 2, and when I got to the end, we got all the way to the end of the mission chain, and we got to the end. I got enough experience points to go up to like level 8 in one go. So, hey, not a problem. They've got the same unlock system they used to have where you've got your Call of Duty, spend these points, unlock. There's a crafting mechanic for abilities that you have to prestige before you can even do that. I didn't get a chance to look at that. So the multiplayer is there, and if you want more Assassin's Creed multiplayer, it's good. They've got a lab thing where you can make like custom game modes, and then you can upload those, and the most popular ones are put up, and people can download them and play them. Where you can set different restrictions and objectives and stuff like that. It all seems like they're putting in the work, but they're just not. It's not just like this entire game. It's not a huge step in any direction.
Right.
It's a baby step that is very safe, very much similar to the previous games with tiny little incremental upgrades. I'm also going to say that I might be playing too many PC games recently, but like Assassin's Creed's starting to look a little rough around the edges, man.
Really?
Like,
you think so?
Just the textures and the way they kind of use this like muddy graininess to fade stuff in.
Yeah.
It's just starting to get a little bit.
Well, you're going to get to see it on a next-gen system here pretty quick, so maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna take a look, and by the time this goes up, I probably have already streamed some footage of it. I'm hoping that it looks good because some of the maybe it's just sticker shock from the videos that they showed being on next-gen platforms.
Yeah.
And then playing it on a PlayStation 3, and I was just like, kind of. So yeah, that's it. Safe game, safe story. It moves a little bit in one direction, but this to me feels much more like the focus of this game was trying to undo the bad will of Assassin's Creed 3 more than it was striking out.
Yeah.
Like Assassin's Creed 3 changed the mechanics, it changed the setting, it changed a lot of stuff. This to me feels like it could have been, like obviously it's not in the right time period, but this almost seems like it was maybe going to be Assassin's Creed 3 Brotherhood.
Yeah.
And then they just people didn't like Connor, so they pushed it to where people did like. So I had a good time with it, but it's very much business as usual. And it's very much something where I think that one more game, business as usual, from Assassin's Creed without some enhancement, I'm going to have to start knocking off points for business as usual.
Yeah.
Like even Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and Revelations, they added like the assassin posse and the bombs, and they tried some stuff that was different. Whereas here, this is very much Assassin's Creed 3, just with the open world being boat-oriented instead of running around oriented.
Right.
So
what do you give it?
I'm going to give it 4. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5.
Generous.
Good game. Nothing wrong with it, but I'm getting to the point with this game where if next year we play Assassin's Creed 4 Brotherhood or Assassin's Creed 5 and there aren't some substantial changes, then this series is going to start getting boring.
You're on notice, Assassin's Creed.
Exactly. I know you guys listen to my podcast, so this is it. This is the last time I'm being good. Next time, I'm going to start knocking off points for just being the same fucking game.
Stern words and a lower score.
Yes.
Ubisoft.
From a company that's not on Metacritic and that nobody really listens to.
But they do. The French are big into this website, right?
Just like Jerry Lewis.
Yes.
Yeah.
We fight the enemies who defy us. And carve our legends in steel.
Brace yourselves! Starboard, Edward!
For across this vast ocean, men fall as pawns or gain infamy as pirates.
Attack!